We don't even need this. We could just speak.
Okay.
Okay, we're on. Hello
Good
there.
morning, Dan.
Good morning, Tom.
Nice to
How
see
are
you
you,
again.
bud? Nice to see you as well.
Rain finally ended.
Thank God.
Yeah.
But look, I started cutting my own grass out here. I did. I used to have a service come in. They did a nice job. So I went out and bought a brand new zero turn, and it looks like it's a golf course. It's perfect. So now my wife said to me, she goes, you're never going to go back. You're going to have to do this forever now. I said, what did I get myself into? So
I brought my wedge. We could practice some.
yeah.
I got a shag bag. Hey,
You've been out golfing?
I played yesterday.
How'd you do?
Not well, but I had some really good shots.
Okay.
But I didn't capitalize on them. But it was fun. Bunch of guys, 12 of us, all seniors. First time a lot of the snowbirds are back in town.
Okay.
And everyone's excited. But the rough is like this.
Oh,
So if you get in the rough, and you can't blame the grounds crew. They can't cut it. It's too
You
wet.
got too wet. That's right.
But we got out. I have some good news. The good news is the town of Amherst Highway Department patched the potholes on Hopkins Road.
Very nice.
That's the good news. The bad news is they did a half-assed job. Instead of making it smooth, okay?
Yeah.
And so here's my point. Does anyone take any care about their work anymore? Do they care about the quality? I had to give a person, a doctor's wife, a ride home on LeBron. I haven't been on LeBron in quite a while. One of the most beautiful streets in all
Absolutely.
of Amherst. They don't have potholes. They have craters. And for the highway department to allow a street like that with the most prestigious people in our community to have to live on a street like that, that's nonsense. And the other day, you're going to love this one, Dan. There was 8 stanchions that said road closed on Young's Road. I said, oh my God, from Maine to Sheridan, the highway department is going to get horrendous potholes. Well, little Donnie P had his facts wrong. It was for the Country Club of Buffalo to close off the driveway off of Young's Road so they could repave their main entranceway.
Oh.
The Country Club's well taken care of.
Oh.
Their members took care of it,
Oh.
right? But Young's Road, here we are almost in June, and it's a mess. And here's something else. I was talking to one of my sources in the highway department. I said, hey, the plows coming up Young's really dug up the lawn. Can the town come up and put some topsoil and seed down? He goes, well, we got a problem. He goes, Steve Floss, the highway superintendent, hasn't negotiated a contract yet for topsoil for the town. What kind of nonsense is this?
I wonder, we've talked about this before. I wonder what kind of latitude they actually have as far as their finances go. Can they not negotiate anything because they don't pay their bills? Or are they not handling their financials correctly? Are they late on their payments? What's going on here? Because you would think that salt, topsoil, right? These are mainstays that you would make sure that you take care of.
So
right?
you have to do business.
Exactly right. So I'm a little. I'd like to know more about it, and I would say that the people at the highway department, they're really good people. They during the election, I got to tell you, I got to know a lot of them. I think that their hands are tied. I don't know how forceful Steve Floss is. I don't know whether they talk to one another. I don't know whether he gives them what they need or understands their plight. I don't know about that.
I don't know either. I just know I'm hearing rumors that Floss does not like the job and doesn't want to seek re-election. I've also heard that everything he does, he wants Lavin to get the credit. I don't care about giving credit or blame. I want the job done right. I'm not 100% sure about what's going on there. But going back to the last snowstorm, my same source tells me that they had to tell the drivers of the snow plows to come in on split shifts because so many snow plows were broken down, they didn't have enough plows for all the drivers. And I thought the snow plowing service this past winter was absolutely horrendous. We pay high taxes in Amherst and we expect service for that money.
But Don, again, it's a double-edged sword here. We want the best services because we pay a higher tax rate. We want all this stuff. But the problem that we face today is that I don't think we have the money to do it. I don't think that there's enough money for these guys to do their job effectively. Steve Floss might be frustrated because the money that he has, there's not enough.
And he can't control
And he can't control it. So if I took all things at face value, you have to think to yourself, why is this not getting done? Number 2, do they have enough people, right? Are they able to find enough people to get this? Are they paying their people enough money? Now, during the election, I learned that they're not. Clarence people make more money than the Amherst people. So there's a lot to this. This is the stuff that we kind of need to dig into to kind of figure it out. But yeah, I want this brings up a good point. I was watching JD Vance, Vice President Vance, talking about this fraud thing that's going on with him. And I find it fascinating that he's getting pushback. He met with all the attorney generals. No Democrat showed up. He's finding all this fraud. What are we going to find
In New
on
York
a
State?
local level? At a local level, where did all of our money go to? Where have we spent our money?
I've told my wife, open up a child care center. You don't have to have any kids in there.
That's
just,
right.
Just put the shingle out, and we qualify for federal dollars.
But again, you see, like you talk about fraud on the federal level, on the state level that they're checking now. What about the town level?
Yeah. Well, I don't
What
know.
is going on? Who is doing audits of what we talked about this? Who's doing audits of all these departments?
I had dinner last night with a very prominent Buffalo attorney, knows everybody, been around. We were talking about things like that, and also about the city of Buffalo budget now.
19%.
To 19%.
Right, I saw that.
And the fact that Sean Ryan has not one, two, but 4 deputy mayors when you have a deficit like this. And we were also talking about the local media. They've lowered the bar in these local TV stations. They've lowered the bar at the Buffalo News. That's why their subscription rate is so low. No compelling reason. It's yesterday's news tomorrow. No one has gone out to Batavia and put a camera on Byron Brown and said, you just took this $300,000 job with OTB and you left the city with a $120 million deficit.
Why do you think that is?
Why hasn't he told anyone?
That's right. Why do you think it is?
I have no idea.
See, because to me, the logical part of these situations is that you would do that. Logically, we're not following anything, any procedures anymore. We are just forgetting because they think that people's attention spans are short. So they think that if we just don't talk about it, the next thing will occur. I keep saying to myself, we are in the shape we're in, not because there's been a one-party rule for many years in the state of New York. Nobody could blame anybody other than that party. Nobody. If you look at this, if you get deep down, listen, we have this Senate race that I went for, two Democrats. No Republicans are running.
They didn't put a candidate
They
out.
didn't even put a candidate out.
And the Zellner commercial right now, if you look at it, what's he talk about? Dan, he takes on Trump. Trump with pancakes on a griddle.
But I'm laughing because somebody called me up and said, man, he's just following what you did. You were pizzas and he's pancakes.
I hadn't heard that one. That's a good one. But here's the point. Jeremy, you went to Albany not to take on Trump, but to improve the quality of life for Western New Yorkers.
That's because they got nothing else. They got nothing else. And Trump is so disliked that they think that their coattails will bring people in. Look, there's going to be a reckoning.
If you think Trump is disliked, go ask Senator Cronin in Texas.
Oh, I know.
They took him right out from under him.
I know. But, again, just think about it. What else do they have? And when Trump's term ends, now what? You got nothing more. And they're trying so hard at this particular point to try to secure their position because they know when this is all said and done, every major city is in trouble. Look at that candidate in Los Angeles, the mayor candidate, Pratt, right? Is it not Pratt?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Pretty impressive.
Very impressive. He got the endorsement for Trump and he was like, oh, okay. Thanks. He didn't really care.
Well, you got to be careful out there.
But but he didn't even care about it. He just said, I'm out to do this job. That's exactly what we tried to do.
Well, if you had a house in the Pacific Palisades and it caught
Oh, I
fire
know.
and the fire hydrants don't have any water,
I know.
how do you justify
I
that
know.
as a mayor
I know.
of all
I
that?
know. Well,
the
funny,
homeless problem out there
and she's
is
still
so bad.
and she's still a favorite to win.
Well, you know what? Then they get what they deserve.
That's the point. We talk about that all the time, Don. I sit back and I think about it, and I reflect on the elections a lot because I sit back and think to myself, are you better off not being there? Are you better off? What would you have done? How would you have done it? And today, number one, it's a no-win situation. No matter what they're trying to do, they can't dig themselves out of the hole that they've already dug in. And what they don't realize, the current party in power, what they don't realize is that they're just digging a deeper hole for their own politicians because they can't come out of it.
This attorney last night also said, you watch this new police commissioner who's been fired in Atlanta, fired in Louisville. Our previous police commissioner made 170. She's making 250,000. This is what Sean Ryan did. Okay, from 170 to 250.
My God.
And as I said last night, ask Gil Kurlikowski how when you come from outside to be the commissioner of the Buffalo Police Department, how the rank and file feel about you.
That's right.
They resent you.
That's right.
And I don't blame them. I get it. They went to training academy together. They were walking this beat together. Then they became, lieutenants, and then they became captains. And they want to promote from within. Right. There's a lot of good cops in the city of Buffalo. I know a lot of them.
But it's systemic, though, Don. I mean, this problem, it just wasn't the last administration. It's been administrations in the past. If we look at the local level, Culpa was in it for 8 years. Okay, if you go back and look at his decisions for 8 years, and you look at Weinstein's decisions for him, you'll see systemically what ended up happening is we were always overspending more than what we had, and you rob from Peter to take Paul. Nobody has ever taken charge and just said, we're not doing that. We are not going to do it. Here's the pain. Feel the pain now, because this is what we're going to do. Let's watch this. And business has got such a bad rap now as far as politics because Trump hasn't helped that. Here's a businessman over there who had the right idea and right approach in the beginning, and now it's very convoluted. It's not very clear. But the point is, as we get older, we become more conservative. We look at things and we understand more that you don't need to keep striving so hard until you secure your base. Well, and we haven't done that.
Let's talk about the town board with Zach came in. His mom worked for Byron Brown in City Hall, and he's like a human resource director. And now they want to no longer have the residency requirement to work for the town of Amherst. They passed it.
Yep.
They did. So anybody from Grand Island, Cheektowaga.
Yep. And I'm going to tell you something. Here's my philosophy on residence requirement. When I was appointed to the director of environmental inspections for City of Niagara Falls, I moved into Niagara Falls. I followed the procedure.
I think you should have.
Well, and I did. Now, here's how I think. You either have to figure this out one of two ways. Either you're going to enforce it, and if you can find nobody in Amherst to take the job, you can look outward. You can look elsewhere to bring that person in. But document that you've looked within Amherst, that you've done your due diligence, that you've tried this.
Help somebody in the town get
Why is that so why wouldn't you explain this to people? Why wouldn't you just say that? Listen, we're gonna change the residency requirement because because we've looked into Amherst and we can't find it. They didn't do that. They never asked. We don't see any records. We don't see any of that. People don't want to answer questions. It's like we started off this conversation. Nobody is willing to take responsibility for a decision in the long term. They make a decision short, and then they move on to the next decision.
Do you ever, when you come to work, do you ever come up Maple to like Young's Road?
All the time.
And you go up Young's and then come over to, okay. Well, my wife and I were walking the dog the other day. This is a great one. Where Mr. Oil Change used to be at Main and Young's. Mm-hmm. There was an Amherst cop. And I startled him because I was walking in the window. I go, hey, how's it going? He goes, good. And I said, are you going to run radar? Well, I'm on my lunch break. I said, oh, I understand. That's okay. But have you noticed that the cars coming up Young's Road come up about 50 to 60 miles an hour, then they have to slam on the brakes for the red light at Main Street? If the town wanted to generate income, they could be writing speeding tickets. I haven't seen a speed trap in the town of Amherst in years. I haven't seen a highway crew out patching the potholes. I saw evidence of it on Hopkins, but that's the only place.
Okay, so now for all your years' experience, why do you think that is?
I have no idea. I'm befuddled because I used to be so proud to be an Amherst resident. Police response time is still fabulous. I give those officers a lot of credit. I love the plow drivers. They wave every time they go by, But for some reason, they're not the job isn't getting done as quickly and as responsive as they used to be.
I would think that that has to do with scheduling and leadership. You know, because when we were going through this, we would talk to the rank and files, and they would tell us they don't have. They literally would go out and do snow plowing, and they wouldn't use GPS.
Oh boy.
Now, why wouldn't you do that? Well, because there's this general consensus that GPS is trying to follow you to try to catch you. But here's the point: they now have to put it in contracts that that's not what it's for. Okay, even if you conceded and did that, why wouldn't you use a GPS to show you where to go? I don't understand.
Well, you
it.
should know where to go anyway, right?
I mean, like if you're not going to want to do something, you know, you want to have this thing routed out for you. I'm telling you, I don't think the logical sequence follows people.
Here's another one for you. Another source told me that they had a conversation with Byron Brown, not in the media, and he said if the Common Council had allowed him to put in those speed cameras, that the city of Buffalo would have a surplus. Now, I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a fan of the speed cameras either.
Then doesn't it make you wonder, though, Don? Doesn't it make you wonder that the systems that we have in place need to be revamped? That we need to look at a different approach, because sometimes you have paralysis by analysis. Sometimes you're not able to understand the problem inherently. And the only way that that's going to happen is if you break it down in segments of the population and you're getting real-time data as to what's going on. Now, you talk about the potholes. We talk about that often. Or we talk about potholes, and we talk about plowing and all that stuff. Okay, let's just assume the 10 worst things in our town: potholes, plowing, spending money. But think if we just identified them, even if every administration just took a couple of them and broke it down into some type of approach. But I think what ends up happening is we're always in a crisis management. So, like Sean, I feel bad for Sean because he is living with what Culpa did, but Sean was on the board. So he's part of that.
But he was Mr. Silent.
That's right. But I'm saying he was part of that.
Right.
So now you're complicit because you were there. You
Absolutely.
You did it. Now you have to deal with this. Now, what makes you think that this, once you're in that seat, knowing what you know now, what you should have known all along, what makes you think that you're going to be able to change it when you've had 8 years of putting you right where you're at? So your only choice is raise your taxes.
Yep. And you know it's going to be a whopper.
Absolutely. Oh no, the taxes are going up.
Big time.
Taxes are going to go up. And he'll do it in this year because he got 2 other years, so he doesn't have to worry about it. That's what will happen. Just like the 11.4%.
Oh.
That should have been enough not to put that administration in. But that's not how it works.
Last night in the New York Post, I read where Mandami wants to take a landlord's building away from him and give it to the tenants.
I know. He's not going to be able to do that as hard as he tries. You know,
I read a headline like that and you go, what is he thinking?
But see, that's the news's problem. We give that guy press. We give him press. And he comes out smiling like he knows everything better than everybody else. And they elected him. They put him in. The Jewish community is up in arms.
They voted for him.
That's right. I mean, like, if this is just ridiculous. And how do you justify it? How do you justify that thing? Everything that he has said about in his election campaign, he's not been able to do it.
You watch when the financial businesses leave New York, leave Wall Street.
Who
they're
is
going to go to Dallas and Florida? And
not Goldman Sachs? What's the other? What's the one that where he was in front of his apartment and he knocked on the camera? And what's the guy's name?
Oh, I know what you're talking. The guy who has the $235 million
Right.
townhouse. Yeah, Phil Griffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my issue. The amount of money he's already moved his money.
Sure.
Out
I
of
don't
New
blame him.
But he's already moved it out of New York. You don't notice this?
How about Jamie Dimon?
Yeah, I know.
Requested a meeting with the mayor to talk about his tax structure, and he
Yeah.
refused to meet with him. One of the top bankers in the world.
But see, that's my point. Look, here's what you have to do. After you go through an election, you literally have to sit back and say to yourself, well, what's your next steps? What are you going to do? You really have to just let it all play out for a little bit, because the decisions that are made are so bizarre, so out of the ordinary. I don't know how people don't see how ridiculous they really are. And if people are willing, this is why the Sun Belt, Southwest, they're
Thriving.
all thriving.
Thriving. And DeSantis in Florida is talking about abolishing property taxes.
Could you imagine?
I can't.
I,
All they do is go up in this
That's
state.
right. But again, think about it too. It's because everybody wants to be in the sun. You love the sun. I love the sun. I'd love to have it all year round.
Well, when I skied, I love the four seasons.
Oh, well, that's true. I skied a little bit. So
I used to love playing hockey. I was glad to see the rink at Canal Side. It was an improvement.
Yeah.
Place to go. There's so much we could do with our waterfront. I was in Boston when Pope John Paul II arrived for his first visit as Pope. He was here as a cardinal. And I got on a plane because the next stop was Philadelphia. And the gentleman sitting next to me says, "Well, what do you do?" I go, "I'm a television news anchor reporter from Buffalo, New York." Buffalo, New York. He says, "I teach urban planning at Harvard. We use Buffalo, New York as a prime example of how not to ruin a city. You put your thruway on your waterfront. You put low-income housing on your waterfront. What are you thinking?" And then you build a stadium out in a suburb, and you don't even put a dome on it.
Right.
The city will never host a Super Bowl.
That's right. But see, everything you just said, nothing. We have just accepted the mediocrity of it all.
Mistake by the lake.
That's right. That's right. We've accepted it. Right. I tell my wife all the time, I've got children and grandchildren that live here, and we're going to get to a point where we're going to be able to go away for a couple months, come back, because
You've earned
but there's nothing here.
Especially in the winter.
But there's nothing here because it's twice as hard to run a business.
Oh, God.
It's twice as hard to raise a family. It's twice as hard to save money. It's twice as hard.
Well, my wife is a teacher. She knows your daughter. And she said, "I feel sorry for these kids because when we were raising our kids, there wasn't the internet. There wasn't these video games and everything else."
That's right.
And it was like when you and I were kids, you went outside at nighttime, you played in the neighborhood till the streetlights came on, and then you had to go home.
That's right.
And it's not like that anymore.
Well, and I don't think people care.
Well, I talked to a pediatrician, and he says, "You know what I do, Don? I ask my patients, tell me what you do after dinner." And he goes, 9 out of 10, they go play video games. This is not healthy.
That's right.
It's not good for them.
It's really funny that you mentioned that. For me, I love this time of year because I can get in the convertible and just go drive and go play golf and stuff like that. But we have resorted to exactly what you said. We look for things now to occupy our mind because we're bored. I used to go on TikTok, not anymore. I've been done since Lent. I gave it up for Lent, and I've never went back to it. And I'm gonna tell you what.
You're better off for it.
Oh God.
Every now and then, there's a good golf tip on TikTok.
Oh no, I know. That's how I learned about Jim Ventus. That's how I learned about it. But I'm gonna tell you something. There's a couple good tips I got, but I can see how mind numbing it is.
Oh, and addictive.
It's unbelievable. But you think about it. Look where we have come to. We are trying to escape boredom. But we don't realize that sometimes our best thoughts come if we just stop and think about what we're doing and how we're acting.
Now, on a positive side note, I went out, and I do this every year, for my middle grandson. His name is Oliver. He lives in England. There's something about the kid I love immensely, but I planted a vegetable garden. I put a sign up, Oliver's Garden.
Oh, my gosh.
And he was out there every day weeding and fertilizing.
That's awesome.
And watering it. So I got all these plants to go in. And I'm FaceTiming with him. I go, "Oliver, what should we plant this year?" "Well, I'm sure you'll do the cherry tomatoes." "Oh, yeah." "Zucchini?" "Oh, absolutely." "Eggplant?" Yeah. "Cucumbers?" "Oh, you betcha." And I got the plants. But the soil's been so wet, You can't plant. And they're out on the deck underneath the awning. And my wife says, "When are you going to plant the garden?" I said, "When you give me a hairdryer and I can blow dry the soil." But it's an exciting time of the year.
Yep.
And spring is new life.
Yep. Yep.
And it can be so exciting, but I don't want to see the status quo. And I will go back to this. I heard today that the three in the room, the governor, they hammered out a budget. Here we are, almost June. It was due April 1st. Do your job. Get it done by April 1st. All year long.
I think we should pay them until it's done.
I agree.
I think we should pay them.
And same thing when they shut down the federal government.
Yep.
Don't pay those senators.
That's right. That's right.
And it's going to be interesting, speaking of which, what Chuck Schumer decides to do. Because he has really gone from here. We've got sound bites from him from years ago talking about how the border's got to be closed. If you come into the country illegally, you should be deported immediately, right? And now he says, well, open borders are a good thing.
You want to know what's scary, Don? AOC wants that seat.
Yeah, and that's why he went to the left, to make sure he doesn't lose all the support to her.
She wants that seat.
Well, look what they did for mayor. They gave us a communist.
I got to be honest with you. This is the stuff that scares me.
Yeah.
Is that we actually elect people like this. That we do. Well, it's one thing to say at a local level. You have your differences. You can see it. It's pretty clear, right? Which way you're going to go. We're talking about a U.S. Senate seat.
Yeah.
That is responsible for how many people? And you're going to put somebody like AOC in there. Where are we going to in this state that we think that this is normal? We talked about Mandami earlier. They think this is normal. Where are we? I wonder. Are we in such a place in our state that we have more people who are indigent, more people who can't make it, more people who need assistance, that there is no choice for them but to elect these people, because we're not doing anything, like we said, to get our children off the video games or doing more for themselves? Where is this what's happening here? That our state is becoming poorer and poorer and poorer. That the people themselves feel like there's no alternative but to hear the word free, to hear the word that, geez, we're going to do something for you, or we're going to give you something.
Well, the number one thing here in Western New York is the public sector jobs, because we don't have private sector jobs.
Right.
The biggest employer is the University of Buffalo. Every single job out there is a public sector job.
Right.
Paid for by taxpayer dollars. You can only tax the tax base so much because the poor don't pay taxes.
But even to that point, let's assume we had all these jobs. Let's assume they were all public jobs, right? And we needed them.
How about private sector jobs?
That's right. My point is that we can't afford to piss off Jamie Dimon or people like that, because when people like that leave, now it's even a bigger burden on us.
And a bigger vacuum.
And that's right. So I wonder if our politics don't follow that trend or that rule, because I know firsthand that the people, when you only have a certain percentage of people, 30% people that are voting, right?
That's voter apathy is a big problem.
Yeah, well, why is that? Why do people feel like their vote doesn't matter? And why is it that this continuously happens to us? That we are fighting to try to get 3% more, 4% more to make a difference. And only people like a Pratt, who's out there doing obscure things to get noticed, so people will recognize him. It just seems like it's counterintuitive and counterproductive to try to figure out the psyche and what the habits of people are. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. And I'm telling you, after going through it, I sit back and think, how do you change people to think that you need to do this because it's better for everybody? Because everybody thinks for themselves.
Oh, I agree. Well, I'll tell you one thing. We were talking about whether the highway department has the right resources. Imagine if you, with the Volio, ran out of olive oil, that your supplier in Italy said, hey, you're 60 days late.
Right.
We're withholding our
Right.
shipment to you.
Right. Well,
people count on your
well, they
product.
do, but like business in itself, I'll tell you today, our business is more difficult today than it's ever been.
It's only going to get worse in this state.
That's right. And I think that what's happening now is people can't spend money. Gas prices are out of control.
Outrageous.
So all this stuff is happening. And people don't recognize that a swing of 3% for me is huge, right? It's huge. So
Because you're talking volume.
that's right. That's right.
Did you see where last night the United States bombed some drone sites with 2,000 drones?
Yep.
Trump's no dummy. But the Iranians, according to retired General Jack Keane, I love that man. He
Smart.
says, the Iranians, they lie, they cheat. Get the job done. Get it over. And then they don't own the Strait of Hormuz. It's
That's
an
right.
international waterway.
I wonder what's going on there is I think Trump is not doing anything substantial because I think that there must be so much factions within Iran right now to find out who's actually pulling the strings and who's not.
We don't know.
And we don't know that.
And the new Ayatollah has not been seen.
That's right. And I think, Don, this is where we have to trust our officials. Like I have to trust Kathy Hochul that she's making decisions that are good for us. I do. You have to trust it. She's doing the job. We can question it. We may not like it, but we got to trust them. Same thing with President Trump. You got to trust the fact that we're in this thing now.
And he knows more than we do.
That he knows more than we do. But it's the word trust. We don't trust anybody anymore.
Well, you're leery of everybody.
That's right. So this is where it starts. We don't trust the motives behind what people are doing. We don't know whether they're out there for themselves, whether they're their next political step, all of these things. So that's where we're at mentally. So when you look at President Trump, whether you like the guy or not, we're involved with this war. Yes, he got involved with this war, but we're in it now. How do we support that decision? Because we have to believe that he knows more than we do, and we did this. This is exactly the barrier that we face today. You and I can sit here and talk about potholes and everything that we want to talk about Iran. We have about this much information. Now what happens? Now what do we do?
Well, you think about the people of Iran. It reminds me of the people of Poland under communism.
Right?
We never had a problem with the people of Poland. They're wonderful people. They were forced to live under communism after the Yalta Agreement, after World War II, or as the congresswoman from Minneapolis refers to it as World War XI. Did you see that one?
No, what is that?
You know how it's World War II?
Yeah.
And she's doing a speech and she said after World War XI.
Did she really?
Yeah, she did.
I didn't hear. What was that?
Elon.
No,
Who's got $30 million.
I didn't know she said that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Talk about a word salad, huh?
Well, again, she should be. I'm sorry. I'm sending this out because I just remembered that I had to send a phone number out to a party that I have. So I want to make sure I get it out. That woman, I think
She's scary.
she's more than scary. I think they should be taking apart everything that woman has done. Because you want to know something? She's self-serving.
Oh, are you kidding me?
She's self-serving, and she only cares about herself.
And she is corrupt.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
To go from net worth of 300,000 to 36
But
million.
now, but she did it. Did you see that she redid it?
Oh, she did?
She redid it, and now it's 95,000. They made a mistake. There was an error. How do you make a mistake
No,
from
that's-
3 million to 95,000?
That's nonsense.
Hey. Don,
They must think we're fools.
That-
I was born at nighttime, but not last night.
I want to ask you another question. So tell me about this merger now. They're fighting it.
With
Techno-
TV?
Yes.
Oh, well, first of all, shame on Nexstar, who I worked with for 30, well, I didn't work for them for 32 years, but for the last 9 years. They're predicting the death of linear television as
Okay.
we know it today, but it doesn't happen.
Explain to people what that means.
Well, they're saying that people no longer are going to channel 2, 4, or 7 for their news at night because you got the iPhone here and you got the computer, and there's so many other ways to get your information. So I can see how Nexstar could take over Tegna, but the mistake that was made is that they loosen up, the FCC loosen up the rules and how many stations you can own, what percentage of the coverage of the nation can you cover. If you want to do it properly, in my opinion, In stations where both Nexstar and Tegna have a station, both companies, you have to get rid of one of them. Nexstar should not have channel 4 and channel 2, because what's going to happen, and I know this, they'll deny it, but there's going to be a bloodbath in one of those two stations. You're either going to eliminate one newsroom and have one newsroom do it for both stations and do a simulcast. They won't eliminate the sales department in the other station. They'll both have sales, because that's what thrives these private TV stations, is the profit. But the HUT level, homes using television, the number of homes that are watching the 6 o'clock and especially the 11 o'clock news, people are going to bed earlier and they don't stay up to watch the 11 o'clock news. However, I was in Chef's one night with Irv Weinstein when Wayne Gretzky walked in. And I said, Irv, there's Wayne Gretzky. He goes, who cares? I said, he's a GOAT, the greatest of all time. He comes up and he goes, Mr. Weinstein, Mr. Postos, I grew up watching you. And my mom doesn't go to bed until you guys sign off at 11:30. Can I have your autograph for my mom?
Really?
And I said, absolutely, and so did Irv. But could you give me 2 autograph sticks, hockey sticks for my sons, which he did. We get on the air that night. Irv Weinstein's throwing at the sports with Rick Eisner. He goes, Rick, Don and I were at Chef's tonight, and we met Wayne Gretzky. And I have to say to Mrs. Gretzky in Guelph, Ontario, you did a fine job raising that young man, and we appreciate that you don't go to bed until you watch Don and me do the 11 o'clock news.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite.
That's a great story.
It is a great story.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, but
if I write a book, it'll be chapter 5.
But see, that's the point, Don. We talk about this stuff all the time. There's nothing wrong with good old values, good values. I was at a, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the air, but I was at my church, and I'll never forget it. Father Leon.
Oh, you're at St. Greg's.
Yep. Father Leon at St. Greg's is doing his homily. And he was just talking about things in general. And he said, when I grew up, I used to be in the front of my house. Everybody knew everybody. Watch the kids on the street. They'd go down the street, everybody talked to one another. Now everybody's in the back of their house. They were more worried about the back of the house. Nobody's in the front. Nobody really talks to anybody anymore.
But don't forget, where he grew up in Black Rock is not the safest neighborhood today as it was back then.
But the point of his story was we were out talking to one another.
And now we're on a cocoon.
Yes.
Yeah. I love Father.
To your point, what you just said, those values of being able to watch your neighbor, take care of them, do this stuff, that's the stuff we're missing. That is the stuff that we need help with.
And I just want to say this, Dan. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this. I gave the commencement address at Damon University.
How'd they go?
I thank you, Lord. It went 100% better than I anticipated. I rewrote the script 3 times. And you have to realize who your audience is. You got proud parents out there. And then you got these students who are saying, what's my future hold?
Right.
But they're our future. These kids.
Right, of course.
Right?
Of course.
And there's the number of students who graduated cum laude, summa cum laude was just blow your socks off. And what I wasn't aware of, what a gem Damon is with the different curriculums they have there, especially for physical therapy. I can't name them all, and I don't want to name them all, but it's a nice little college that was founded by the Sisters of St. Francis. It was known as Rosary Hill when I moved here in 1976. And at one time, it was an all-girls college. And it's vibrant. I'm sorry to see Coach McDonald leave Damon to go to Bonaventure, but he's gone from Division II to Division I.
Sure.
Plus, he went to Bonaventure. But it's a nice little campus. The chairman of the board of the trustees is John Yurchek. He also has an honorary doctorate. And when they gave me my honorary degree, I ad-libbed this. I said, if I may just say thank you, and when you see me around town, please call me Don, don't call me Doc. And I would like to shout out my rock, my wife of 50 years, Ann, who's played a big role in my personal success in television. She got a nice round of applause. And it was a beautiful event. We had a lunch afterwards, and Dr. Gary Olson, the president, said if our 4 o'clock for the graduation for graduate students, if he doesn't show up, can you come back and redo the speech again? I said I'd be more than happy to. But anyway, it was a great day. I was honored. I've never done that before.
I want to ask you a question. Did you get to the students?
I think I did.
That's good.
Because I saw one of them. yesterday, and I've been meaning. I heard her name get called, and I looked for her, but the kids are coming across
Right.
the stage at Klein. What a beautiful setting that is
Oh,
for
yeah.
graduation. And she says, "You did really well because the guy who introduced you, my grandmother got a big laugh. You said, thank you for that nice introduction to see." It was a wonderful introduction, but it was probably the second best introduction I ever had. I said the best introduction was when I was in Batavia one time to speak to the Rotary Club, and the person who was supposed to introduce me didn't show up. So I got to introduce myself.
That's awesome.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Hi.
Well, Don, thanks again.
Pleasure. Always
Pleasure.
enjoy
See you
it.
next week.
All right.